So let's move on to the final team of the night, a deserving last but not least, as Neumann-Goretti, reigning Philadelphia Catholic League champs, reigning Triple Crown champs, 4A champs at District 12's level last year, and also state champs at the 4A level, deservingly so. Carl Aragale, rinse and repeat for the Saints this year, and we had an opportunity to talk with none other than Andrew Bowman, who is a LaSalle High School graduate, so we know him pretty well through the ranks, but moved to South Philly years ago, called up Carl Aragale and said, if you're looking for an assistant basketball coach, and no sooner did Carl Aragale pluck a very talented basketball mind, Andrew Bowman, and very, very generous with his time. Here he is, Andrew Bowman, to talk about the reigning Philadelphia Catholic League champ Saints and the number 1 seed this year. Bowman, assistant coach for Neumann-Goretti. He joins us now on the PCL preview show on Bob Long Sports. Will Ryan is my co-host here as well. Andrew, really appreciate you guys doing this. It's an opportunity to showcase the young men that have worked hard all season long, and this is the reward, isn't it? The chance to play in a quarterfinal game, in your case at home, with 1 win to take you to the Palestra. I know it's a rinse and repeat for you guys at this point, but I assume every year it's still very special when you get to this time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We were actually talking last night after the Ryan game. This is the first time we clinched the number 1 seed since 2016. When Quade was a junior, you had Zane Martin there, Vaughn Covington, some of those guys. So, yeah, always special to do. And, you're kind of always looking to play your best basketball, this time of the season. We always talk that, so you don't want to drop games early on, non-league games, but, they really don't matter. They have nothing to do with seeding for the league, state playoffs, any of that kind of stuff. I don't know, our schedule usually is kind of built upon, testing our guys early on and, building on that as, kind of the season goes on. We get that in the home stretch in February.
Andrew, I know that there's never not a rebuilding year or kind of youthful talent to grow into it at Neumann-Goretti. It's always looking for championships. But I think some would have said that last year's team was even a year early with some of the young guards that were leading the way. Well, you win that Catholic League title, district title, and state title. You win the Triple Crown. So now you come back into this year. They have all that experience, tremendous players with high upsides at the college level and beyond. So how do you square all that as you come into this year with all 3, titles adorning your ring fingers, right? Like, what was this year like coming into it, knowing the expectations that you had with a young team that did all that last year and now becomes more veteran?
Yeah, definitely. Certainly a chip on the shoulder. And, we had played well in the summer, AAU-wise, with some of our guys, as well as, summer league and, some of the fall events we did as well, too. Everyone was kind of always saying, we were, the guys to beat. I don't know if we, kind of thought that ourselves, but it's tough. Winning like that at such a young age, kids kind of sometimes feel like they've arrived, and, that's never the case in the Catholic League, as you guys both know. Almost any given night, anyone can beat anyone. We, took a tough loss to Wood this year on our own court too. So, our guys know that they're beatable. So I think that drives them, a little harder to, kind of take each game, not so lightly, especially, our league games. And I think that, I guess you're being the number 1 seed. I guess we did our job. We won all the games, to earn that. And playing at home next Friday, obviously a big advantage. But that 7-10 game, I mean, Bonner kind of stuck in there as the 10 seed, beating Devon Prep for that, that last spot. They're playing good basketball. They played us at the beginning of the season, and I think they're a totally different team, now than they were, 6 weeks ago. So.
And then, Coach Bowman, you talked a little bit about how the non-conference play, it doesn't matter in terms of PCL state
Mm-hmm.
playoffs, but it certainly is very valuable. As you said, you kind of try to schedule it to test yourselves. You guys went down to Hawaii for a Nike event, and you went up to Springfield, Mass for Hoop Hall. Talk a little
Yep.
bit about both experiences and how that specifically got you ready for the grind that is the PCL.
Yeah, so going away, usually around the holidays, it's kind of always for our guys. It's like a business trip. We have a certain reason for why we're there. You obviously want to win games, but it's more than that. It's kind of coming together as a team, seeing each other more than just on the court or, at practice or whatever. People are rooming together, you're traveling together, especially the Hawaii trip. I mean, it was 6 hours to LA and a little bit of a layover and, 6 more hours to Hawaii. And then you're doing it again 4 days later. I mean, that's pretty tough. And even the hoop hall trip up to the Hall of Fame, it's, we leave the night before, basically kind of get up there late, check in, next day, quick practice, play a game, and then you're on the bus, coming home again. It's they do a great job up there at that tournament. It's really they get you in and out, and it's a big stage up there. We actually ran into Mount St. Joe's actually at the Hall of Fame as we were leaving. They were arriving, and it was funny seeing them up in Massachusetts when we saw them. I think it was like 20 days earlier, in the final down in Hawaii. A little bit different weather too. But yeah, and doing trips like that, I think really help our guys. They kind of put into perspective that it's more than just, the 32 minutes you're playing kind of in a game, with maybe a warm up and, halftime talk and stuff like that. You're looking at an hour and a half or something, for a night. So, making those trips, I think with our guys always helps. We've done it in years past. Carl actually had been to Hawaii before years ago. And he's done hoop hall a number of times as well too. And he said both of them are have always been really good experiences for the kids to grow. I know it might not seem like a lot of time, but 2 months later in a basketball season, you can almost have a completely different team than you were looking at.
And another thing is, on paper, Neumann-Goretti,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the most deep, it's not the deepest team in the league by any stretch of the imagination, but there have been games that you've played without Kafik Myers. There have been games that you've played without Rob Wright. Talk about how that's built a little depth, and we've seen guys like Munchie Wright, the freshman, step up.
Yeah, kind of guys know that in any given night, that if your number's called, you have a job to do kind of on that court. Kafik picked up that kind of ankle injury when we were in Hawaii and kind of was battling it back for. He probably still is, not 100%, but he's going to go out and kind of give you whatever he's got all the time. Sultan missed the Rutgers prep game because he was actually over in London for his mom's funeral, which, was tough in itself, obviously not having him, but, what he's going through and has been going through since late November with that. And then, Rob being out for 2 games like a week ago. Yeah, like I said, I mean, any guy kind of can get their number called. They know that they have a job to do, kind of whether it's playing 32 minutes or 1 minute or, 5 seconds of a defensive possession. They all kind of, understand that and are comfortable with that. That's something that I think Carl's done a really great job instilling with, our younger guys that, yes, I mean, if you're good enough and, you can come in and play right away, but I mean, you really have to, earn your minutes out there. We always have seniors that kind of, some people, when they see us play and they're, finally there, they're like, well, has this kid been here for 4 years? And I'm like, yeah, he played JV for 2 years and then, was kind of our 10th guy last year. And now he starts or is our 6th man. And every year, I think we have a kid like that. Bruce Smith obviously is kind of that guy for us this year. And I mean, he's just absolutely embraced it. I think he's done a wonderful job defensively, on ball and off ball, and he's a pretty good knockdown shooter as well too, and he understands his role. Obviously playing with younger guys, but playing with Rob and Kafik, they're going to be guys who are filling up stat sheets, and you can still be out there and be very impactful. It just, might not show up in a box score.
And then another thing is you guys have played a lot of really, really tough games at home. You were able to play Roman Catholic at home. You were able to play Archbishop Wood at home. You were able to play Archbishop Ryan at home, and you were able to play West Catholic at home.
Yep.
And all those games, to say that they were competitive might be an understatement. Talk a little bit about I guess the common saying that, it's not bad to get a loss under your belt. That loss to Archbishop Wood, what did it do for your guys and for your team?
Well, I think it'd be it obviously number of days ago, it wasn't really that long ago, but as far as a game perspective, it was a while ago. It was almost like, towards the beginning of our kind of Catholic League season. We knew that, okay, you probably can take one loss. Taking two might be a little risky if you're looking for a 1 or 2 seed. So, I mean, kind of like you said, you don't want to get it out of the way early, but, I think it allows you to, drop back and think about, okay, you can't take anyone for granted. Like I said earlier, anyone can kind of get anyone any given night, in our league. And yeah, we were really lucky, I guess, or not lucky. Some teams this year have been playing awful at home and have been incredible on the road. We, like playing in our gym, getting a lot of those games in our gym this year is obviously great. As far as getting our fans there, school, local guys, from the neighborhood and stuff like that. But I mean, there's courts in the league that I think we play better on. Not necessarily from a stands perspective or, fans and students and that kind of stuff, but just like, lighting and backdrops and size of the court even. I was, not surprised, but playing at Cardinal O'Hara has always been a place that we've probably played pretty well at. And, that first half last week, I mean, we got thumped pretty good by them, but, kind of set back at halftime and, came back out and played a pretty good 16 minutes in the second half there.
Yeah, and you kind of spoke about it in that little segment right there, but to kind of close, do you have not a plea to the students, but a message to the neighborhood and to the students? Obviously, you guys sold out, quite a few games this year, but to have a Friday night playoff game in South Philadelphia, what does that mean? And how would you like to see the community kind of come out and support you guys?
Yeah, I mean, they've done a great job this year, for a lot of our big home games. Sometimes it's, tough if you're playing there on a Sunday afternoon and, maybe you're not playing someone as high profile, in the league or whatever. It's tough to kind of get people out, but I mean, they've been great. The kids, especially, it's almost like, the guys from last year pass it down to, the next student section of whoever's going to be there. We've always had kind of a pretty good relationship with our baseball team. They always kind of come out and just support us and, a lot of our guys and the coaches go out and see them in the spring as well too. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not a huge student body, but, the kids are pretty passionate about their sports and, basketball especially. And, this time of year, sometimes there's, nothing better than a Friday night basketball game, kind of wherever it is in the PCL. So, yeah, I would think that next week they would, obviously be excited about that. And hopefully, we'll see them, in the semifinal game at the Palestra as well too.
Well, Coach Bowman, thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciated. And we look forward to this airing on Monday night.
All right, great.
Good luck. We'll be watching along the way, Andrew.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Will.
Thanks to our buddy Andrew Bowman for joining us here and being our final interview. All 10 coaches, or at least one member of each staff, has joined us here this evening to break down the Philadelphia Catholic League playoffs. So before we do conclude the show, Will, thoughts on Neumann-Goretti? They are fantastically talented, great at the guard position. Sophomores become juniors, and a team that was maybe a year early is now, after winning the state title last year, right back at it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did lose some things after last year. Masood Stewart was a really, really great high-level Philadelphia Catholic League guard. Amir Hurst is playing significant minutes at Holy Family. They've replaced those guys with a Munchie Wright, Rob's little brother, who's a freshman, who's really stepped up in the absence of Kafik Myers at times this year, Rob Wright at times this year, even Sultan Adewale at times this year. And Amir Williams, much bigger role this year, off the bench last year, starter and almost a really, really good role player for this team.
Bruce Smith as well provides some key minutes for him.
Absolutely, and Bruce provided key minutes for them last year
Yes,
as
he
well,
did.
and it's just a bigger role, more amplified role for Bruce. This Neumann-Goretti team, they can drive, they can knock down threes. If you watch the Bob Long Sports game against LaSalle, they were on fire from deep, but we've seen them drive it and win out gritty games as well, so they're really, really dangerous.
They will play the, I guess, highest or lowest, however you want to say it, the closest to 10 remaining seed in the quarterfinal. So one more look at the Philadelphia Catholic League bracket. If Bonner Prendergast wins that game against Cardinal O'Hara, they will play at Neumann-Goretti. If Cardinal O'Hara wins the game against Bonner Prendergast, the winner of Archbishop Carroll and Father Judge will play Neumann-Goretti. And I think any way you slice it, particularly if it's the Carroll and Judge winner, it'll be, hey, can those teams avoid live ball turnovers, and can they get into their offensive sets, take effective and rhythm three-point shots? Because if you let Neumann-Goretti dictate the pace and start to coerce turnovers, they or Roman Catholic, one of the other two best teams in transition in the league, and it can get away from you quickly. I think either of those teams can win, but they have to play close to a perfect game, and they can't succumb to the defensive pressures exuded by Neumann-Goretti.
Exactly. Neumann, rotation-wise, isn't very deep, but star power-wise, very, very deep. If Rob Wright has a bad game, Kafik Myers can pick him up. Sultan Adewale, very consistent. Amir Williams, consistent. Bruce Smith, consistent. They're really and Munchie Wright. I'd be remiss not to mention him. He's really stepped up this year and has been fantastic.
Catholic League basketball, best time of the year, the Catholic League playoffs. We heard multiple coaches say it, that it is Catholic League first. That is their focus. And then districts and states, what comes. But last year, there's 3A, 4A, 5A, and 6A Catholic League teams, right? No 2A or 1A. A Catholic League team won the 3A state title, Devon Prep. A Catholic League team won the 4A state title, Neumann-Goretti. A District 12 team won the 5A title, Imhotep Charter. And two 6A Catholic League teams played in the 6A state final. Roman Catholic and Daniel Skilling with 31 points bested Archbishop Wood, who played an excellent game there as well. The league's deeper this year. Can they replicate the state success that they had last year? Can Neumann-Goretti repeat again? We'll find it all out in a few short weeks.